This one's called 400 Block 7th Street. And it's an interesting look back at my young years. 56 years later, I sit in my car on 7th Street, parked outside your house. You've long since passed away, but your house still stands, solid on its foundation, and you still stand tall in my memory. It somehow seems surreal. 11 a.m. and the front porch light still burns, almost inviting my heart to return to the days when your smile lit up my life. Star-crossed and not meant to be, and yet we were. Old, young, with no in-between, and still we found the depth of each other. 56 years later, I sit in my car parked outside your house. I look at the upstairs window of your bedroom, where you slept, where we made love. I can almost see your face and feel your warmth. I keep a small photo of you in my night table drawer. I keep your long ago love in my heart and soul. 56 years later, you still have a place in my heart. You're carved into the silver of my soul, never to tarnish or die. This one is called Coins of Pure Moonlight. And actually, this is one of my real recent ones. I was waiting outside in a car park, and I always have my pen and paper with me. So, Coins of Pure Moonlight. I juggle coins of pure moonlight beneath a starry sky tonight. And all the while, old images spill blue teardrops on worn pages. There has to be a starting point. A chalice, oil to anoint this forehead of a sinner's child, unshackled, free, and running wild. Tonight I juggle moods of you. Some are red, but most are blue. Old memories and songs arrive and take me on a midnight ride. But tomorrow I'll be back again to pen new pages in the rain, gathering coins of pure moonlight beneath another starry night. Bystanders. We stood by each other for a long time until we didn't. And then we went our separate ways. We stood by our vows until we didn't. And when the bough broke, we chopped the tree down. We stood by our promises until we didn't, and then the vows broke. We stood by our sorrows until we couldn't, and we drowned in an ocean of tears. We stood by our hearts until they stopped beating for each other, and the love we had was lost. We're all innocent bystanders in some way, shape, or form, at some place or time. Bystanders, shy standers, cry standers, we're all innocent bystanders, aren't we? Until we aren't. Blue mirror. There is an essence to the blue mirror that haunts the quiet of my soul, where hazy dreams become much clearer and rough diamonds are hewn from coal. It's like stepping into another dimension and swimming in a cosmic pool where there's no ebbing or ascension, inside a warm and vibrant cool. Inside the essence of the haze, everything is crystal clear. We spend our hours in life's maze on this side of the blue mirror. With angels moving to my side, the blue mirror is beckoning me to step onto its static tide and learn the secrets of God's sea. As I move in and through the blue, the mirror warms me to the bone. I shed my flesh to walk with you, nevermore to be alone. That. So this is the conversations of the trees. The atmosphere thickens, the sky darkens, as the stately firs stretch and scribble an SOS on the air we can't see with the naked eye. Beneath the grass and soil, the underground root system sends steady communications northeast, west, south, NEWS, with up-to-the-minute reports of the threatening surface storm. We pay no attention to this intellectual social vegetation, these keepers of the oxygen balance, these stalwart sentinels of Earth's ecosystems. We never stop to imagine a world without trees, a world without oxygen, a world without human life. The atmosphere thins, the darkness pales, the stately firs relax, the SOS canceled. We just continue walking, oblivious to the conversations of the trees. The title of the poem is Gloss of My Mind. I step into the gloss of my mind, tripping down a beach of starfish gleam, slipping through shallow sandbar pools. I can see in the distance a dark sky punctured with needles, drawing silver threads through the eyes of night, sewing my wandering thoughts to the jagged edge of a shimmering, evanescent moon. The moon rests on a bank of blue cloud, dripping the last drops of summer from her tattered autumn dress onto the ebony blanket of night. My eyes grow weary, the beach and my wandering thoughts slowly dim, then fade as I step out of the gloss of my mind through the window panes of my heart, back into reality's glare. Okay, now this one is called Alone. And sometimes I'll read a poem and there'll be something in that poem that makes me think of something else. And then I start writing it and it just comes. I don't know why, but it's called Alone and I've written it in 3 parts. It's a short poem, but it has its 3 separate parts. Alone, alone in the bourgeoning hush of night. There's a clatter and rustle of leaves in the autumn equinox of my mind. I am the aging mirror of my childhood, a glint in the crease of elusive dreams, where every street is an avenue and the avenues are forever. Part 2. Evenings alone in the dark of my own making, semi-asleep, hazing, dimensionalized. Days alone in the heart of my privacy, skipping stones and gathering shells, remembering the sound of waves, the edge of dreams and illusion. Part 3. Never far from those days, I walked down yesterday's lane, alive with shadow and light, which I'd hoped would follow me home and warm the lonely evening chill. So lonely, so full of loss, alone. Here's one. It's called Door of the Dead. On this stretch of deserted beach, the sand is gleaming and singing, songs to the sun and the sea. I am as quiet as pooled water, restless without wind, listless without movement. I float through the haze of my non-existent days, a slick liquid satin on the waves and waters of life, reflecting the rainfall of days past. At the light violet edge of approaching twilight, I encroach on the tender lip of the night, a shadow in a shadow, casting a shadow onto the receding sun. On this stretch of deserted beach, I am gleaming and singing songs to the sun and the sea, and the dead. I lift up my eyes to the stars overhead and enter the door of the dead. Okay, here we go. This one is called Laying Soft Upon My Heart. A glimpse of steel, a flash of train, silent on the endless track. And oh, that I could ride again the rails and not look back. You still waltz across my mind a tender, wistful melody. And in those moments lost, I find the music brings you back to me. We traveled light with heavy hearts and rusty throats that could not sing, victims of our own false starts, dragging winter into spring. I hold a ticket in my hand. The destination is unknown. I've crossed the line drawn in the sand, and common sense has long since flown. But still, you waltz across my mind, a mellow Monet work of art. And in those moments lost, I find you laying soft upon my heart. A mellow Monet work of art, laying soft upon my heart. Distant birds. I pressed tears and rain into blazing poems and caressed them and whispered them into the wings of distant birds to carry the ink of my words and spill them onto the page of this moment. The distant flutter of eagle wings pressed the tears and rain against the heart of love, breathing fresh breath into relentless death. Moments were held hostage before we ripped off their masks and laid their bones bare on the sacrificial blaze of doubt. Our hearts grew cold. Years dissolved into days, the days into seconds, the moments burned out. Now, in the dark of day and the light of night, I press tears and rain into stone cold poems, bittersweet like lemon frost, the flavor and texture of broken words, torn pages, alive with the echoes of distant birds that are lost and have no voice. The birds of prey. A nightingale's copper voice was singing in the trees, serenading angels gliding on the breeze. A lonely robin's song announced the end of fall. Winter heard its voice and came running to its call. Under a haloed sky of approaching winter dawn, in a forest glade I saw a mother and her fawn, and carved into a cedar tree a woodpecker's profile, a beautiful acrylic painting in a surreal style. Then I saw the birds of prey flying wingless overhead, chanting in soft choruses to the newly dead. And I was wont to say the measure of the things I saw, bits of skeletons and bones that caused the crows to caw. A nightingale's copper voice echoed through the sky. The birds of prey were saddened, but they could not cry. They flew tearless through the night, their hearts engorged with pity. They flew wingless, lost in time, above the winter city. All right, this one is called Summer Rain. Summer Rain. The summer rain drizzles like tears drowning the earth. I am soaked in a rhythm, and the sun has frozen into a blue note scaling down the horizon. I walk the wet, searching for a rainbow hidden in the mist, and all the while the wind whispers sweet nothings to the rain. Caught in the catch of an unfamiliar song, the summer rain and I, both out of tune with the flavor of the day and out of time with the season we're in. When I was young, my paternal grandmother, my dad and me used to go over there for lunch sometimes. And I never really realized through the years that I guess her and my mother didn't really get along. And then I found out many other little things, but I never really got to know her, and she never really liked me much. Or maybe it's because she didn't like my mother. I don't really know. Maybe she did like me, but just didn't know how to show it. Anyhow, it was an odd relationship, and I didn't see a lot of her because I didn't want to keep going there. So I blamed my mother, which my mother hated, that I'm not coming anymore. Oh, why not? Well, my mother won't let me. And of course, it wasn't true, but it got me off. Anyway, I wrote this poem kind of remembering her and just in a to try and understand who she was in a way. It's called At Rest in the Color of Lilac. She had a blue Christmas rose in her backyard that she was very proud of. Anyhow, at rest in the color of lilac. I'm at rest in the color of lilac as I walk through a timeless garden of damp iris and blue Christmas rose, awash in the fading days of long, long ago. There's an old gray-haired grandmother setting the table for her absentee son and lesser-known granddaughter. There's a well-kept backyard and a pale green canvas swing, creaking and swaying in time with the wind, and a synchronized finger painting scene. She stands at the window awaiting the arrival of her dinner guests that will never arrive. Sometimes I glimpse her harsh, cruel eyes that disguise the weave of her tender heart, but only when I'm at rest in the pastel color of lilac, walking the timeless garden of damp iris and blue Christmas rose, awash in the fading twilight of long, long ago. Under the sparkle of a distant star, a piano solos in soft blue tones and notes, writing scripture on the air. I walk along a pier of dreams, above the waters of an ebb tide, beneath the blur of a pale bruised sky. Reflections ebbing and flowing, reverberating down a rabbit hole, into the nothingness that leads to everything, where I am part of the drifting haze. The silence is never ending and thick, yet somehow I still hear your voice, vibrating on a violin string, slowly becoming a chord, a melody, a song, in the emptiness leading to everything. I will follow the sounds of the violin and piano to the sparkle of that distant star that leads to everything, that leads to where you are. The Realm of Nevermore. A song is being born anew. A dusty violin plays through a hot and sultry day in June, heading for an early moon. There are brand new rhythms here that dance and comb the water's hair. They seek to rough the moon's white face, then disappear without a trace. This is the way of summer love, a fleeting kiss, then passion's shove into the realm of nevermore, inside the heart's revolving door. Yes, These are the days of Nevermore, the ones that don't settle the score, and love's left hanging by a thread in the valley of the dead. A song is being murdered now, stabbed by summer's broken vow, inside the realm of Nevermore, as autumn shuts and bolts the door. To visualize the dream. Music invents the invisible to visualize the dream. A conscious, unconscious square root of the stream. The rhapsody that flows into the eager heart has no middle, has no end, doesn't have a start. It's always been incendiary, lying deep beneath, the beneficiary of what heaven does bequeath. The music plays with secrets in the pale surreal. Lyrics and harmonies together make us feel the sought-after emotions of love and contentment. Each note, each chord, each passage, all are heaven sent. Music invents the means to visualize the dream, the subconscious, indivisible unraveling at the sea. When all my stories have been told, in the crystal mirror of my mind, I watch the dream I am unfold. I see my breath upon the air, writing stories to be told. A distant bell is ringing, a flock of angels singing. I'm inside a living poem. At last, I'm finally coming home. We all walk through this world alone on streets of gold or tarnished stone. And as we walk, our hearts begin to turn to silver or to tin. We all walk in the noonday sun, moving snapshots on the run. Again, I'll hold hands with my soul when all my stories have been told. The newly recruited soldier trees line up, ablaze with sunshine-sheeted icicles, borrowed from the far side, unsullied artwork randomly dropped from the edge of God's paintbrush. There is a remnant of something familiar. It calls in a voice I almost remember. Somewhere unseen in the realm of heaven, the music and angels have switched identities to feel what it would be like to be something else, other than what they have always been. I long to switch identities with you, to feel what it's like to be you, but given the chance, I'd decline it because I don't want you to know what it's like to be me. I prefer to be part of this unsullied artwork randomly dropped from God's paintbrush, listening for that voice I almost remember, searching for the artist who drew me. Okay, we are going to go back to birds, but these are going to be aquatic birds, not aerodynamic birds. White swan circling. In the core of my fleeting daydream, butterflies, lilac and blue, fly through the skin of my soul to lay down like pale paintings in the shade of my heart. I sit on the shore of an indigo lake, alive with white swans circling the darkened corners of my thoughts. Whistles are blowing, ravens are crowing, and the swallows have come home to nest. I open my mind to the world once again, and the daydream drifts away, with the butterflies in hot pursuit, leaving a scar on the skin of my soul. Then the indigo lake disappears, like a kiss that never was, and the white swans circle no more. I do, and I don't know why I really like it. All I know is I really like it, and it makes me happy. This poem makes me very happy. It's called The Forgetting. I forget things now more and more, followed by a hollow feeling of alarm. But there is comfort in the forgetting. It wraps itself around me like a blanket, a warm lullaby. And for a moment, I'm a baby again, in a flash of dream and sleep. Then, back to reality, which seems a more unfamiliar fit with each passing day. The aging process needs the forgetting to prepare us to leave the familiar. I forget things more and more with each passing day as I cling to my warm blanket in the unfamiliar lullaby of my last chapter. The deep silver silence of song. The darkness bites and cracks the snow and ice to wrinkle and slice the silence. When the light falls on winter evenings and the river makes no sound in its passing, I watch and listen in reverence and awe. Its reeds frozen, stiffer than glass, are mute in this cold, cold silence, a silence that cannot be described or traversed. At a moment like this, bathed in indigo and white, how can one anticipate the dawn? But it does come, anticipated or not, and slowly climbs over the tree-lined horizon, a blaze of sunlight thawing the frost-bitten land, sea, and sky into an evanescent memory of July days and autumn haze. A promise to glaze the shore with fresh sand and rain for the coming of feather, shell, mica, and quartz as higher ground cedars and shales whisper to the wind of glossier days and nights to come. At a moment like this, bathed in gold and turquoise, how can one not recall hot, hot summer evenings too? The ice melts, the bite goes slack, and the darkness abates in a deep silver silence of song. Dark shadows. Dark shadows chased by relentless stars, weaving through a river of scars, dancing and bobbing with jabs and spars in the neon shine of seedy bars. Born in the crease of an outlaw sky, spilled from the corner of its eye, a stepson of God's bated breath became the dragon we call death. In the evening, when shadows stumble and fall, you can hear the voice of a lost angel call. As the world begins spinning a new song to sing, tears turn to smiles on promise's wing. I watch the dark shadow flee from the stars as the neon shine fades from the seedy bars. The stars swallow up the last of the dark, lighting the wick of the sun with their spark. The dragon of death has holstered his gun. The dark has abated. The dawning has won. Okay, this one's called Main Story. Main story. I enter the drifting spotlight of your story, alive in the shadows of your mind. Somewhere in the distance, a lonely bell rings and whispers our names. in a vacuum of tingling nerves. I am the romance of your effort, lingering on when the lights go down. I hold my ground at center stage while searching for your essence waiting in the wings. You are the effect of my romance, romancing the stone of my ice-cold heart. As you enter into the drifting spotlight of my dream, I reach for your trembling hand and your dream to melt it into the core of mine. We are the major backstories evolving into our main story. Always in the wings. In silence stands a tree that's always been. It's standing stately in daylight and dark, in seasonal and changing shades of green. The fingerprints of time have left their mark, with remnant nests of ravens, crows, and jays. At rest inside her languished, sweet embrace, the raven's wings, black gloss in sunshine's rays, inside a living painting filled with grace. I've watched them dance in elm and maple arms, enraptured in amongst the changing leaves. Then summer suns fall prey to autumn's charms, and winter thins the feathers on their sleeves. They rest in semi-silence in the frost. They're always in the wings. They're never lost. The Strum. A silver guitar gleams in the moonlight, pressed to the lips of a star shining bright. There's a mystic shroud draped over the night, and a song being born just out of sight. The clock is ticking, it's 11:30, and I'm dreaming of you this side of heaven. I patiently wait for the door to swing wide, 2 steps forward, 1 back, then inside. The silver guitar has beckoned me here, from behind the veiled drape, opaque and sheer. The band is playing a sweet melody, our favorite song, for just you and me. So I sidestep the storm and walk into the light, and the glow of angels just out of sight. The music always brings me to you, on the soft satin silk of roses and dew. Then every gray sky turns to baby blue as I lie in the strum of me and you. Against a dry sky, the fingers of rain flex against a dry sky of powder pale gray, dimming the road I walk. I retrace my steps, searching for the footprints I lost and the path that will lead me back to myself. The sun has been gone so long, and this hard rain is ever prevalent and relentless in its pursuit to wipe out all signs and directions. I am lost to the world and tossed by a haphazard renegade wind into a lost moment in time. I sit in the melting pot of my mind, beside the ocean of my youth, dropping burnt tears into the cold, ebbing waves as the fingers of rain continue their flex against a dry sky of powder pale gray. The stuff of drifting dreams. At the purple hour, when my eyes turn to dusk, I see twilight dreams spinning through stardust, leaving a pale purple trail for me to follow out of this graphic world so empty and so hollow. And that's the way it sits. I'm really here, but over there. And on my father's grave so cold, I honestly can swear, we are just drifting stuff made up of space and air. Atoms, molecules, and quarks, and muons everywhere. There is a screen, we see them on. But when we look, they're gone. As we turn our gaze in reversible twist, they disappear, they no more exist. We are the purple twilight mist crumpled into night's dark fist. We are the stuff of drifting dreams falling through life's tattered seams. Here, there, everywhere, everywhere, and nowhere. We are the haze and the glaze in life's maze. Just the stuff of drifting dreams. Okay. Deep blue purple. I envision a deep blue purple light, perpendicular at first, spreading into a horizontal dream that I can lie in. At the edges are purple butterflies and pale blue roses, framing the essence of the light. I climb the white alabaster steps leading up to the ornate marble door and slowly turn the shot silk handle. Inside, beautiful music fills the atmosphere. It creeps into my veins and warms my heart, awakens my mind, and speaks to my soul in the universal language of tones, semitones, and velocities. I lay myself down in this deep purple carpet of musical notes, and slowly, ever so slowly, I become the song. Fistfuls of Moonglow. Carrying fistfuls of moonglow, I walk through the star-dusted streets with the dead that come to my door. They swim effortlessly through the dark waters of time, seeking the cool of my winter blue eyes as they cast off the heat of summer's stale embrace. They are the masters of black fire, the indelible indigo flame. They shine in shards of mirror, reflecting kaleidoscope years, pouring memories and dark water into the heel of my heart. Carrying fistfuls of moonglow, I lay at the altar of the lost, near the crossroads of death. I leave the star-dusted streets with only the imprint of my footsteps in the fading drops of moonglow as the dead dissolve in the mist, whispering almost inaudibly, Auf Wiedersehen, Auf Wiedersehen. Nickels and dimes. Petty crimes, nickels and dimes, and the hand of the universe closes its fist, heartlessly clawing at the world's wrist. There are fallen stars singing in bars and hobos jumping into rail cars somewhere, going nowhere. And the park is filled with homeless folk. That's no joke, cowpoke. Oh, you're not a farm boy, but from the city, singing out a cloyed city ditty right down to the nitty-gritty. Well, ain't that a pity? Singing for nickels and dimes, scooping them up with a fractured wrist, paying homage to petty crimes. You know what I mean, get the gist? Another feckless day has up and blown away into the unforgiving mist like the ghost of Oliver Twist. Petty crimes, nickels and dimes, choking the pulse of the world's failing wrist. The hand of the universe closes its fist.